He never raised his voice. Not when the jokes were whispered just loud enough for him to hear. Not when the laughter followed him down the hallway. Not even when someone looked at his skin and decided that was all they needed to know about him. He learned early that silence was safer than speaking, that keeping his head down made the day pass a little faster. To them, it was entertainment. To him, it was something he carried home every night. He carried the weight quietly, feeling it press against his chest long after the laughter faded. Every mocking word, every stare, every careless comment lingered in the corners of his mind. They believed their jokes were harmless. They believed his silence was weakness. But each act of mockery was quietly shaping something stronger inside him. Something they could never predict. Something they would one day witness. Have you ever been judged before being understood? Before being given the chance to show who you truly are? For him, judgment always came first. Classrooms ignored his raised hands. Workplaces dismissed his efforts. Even casual conversations contained hidden assumptions. Every encounter reminded him that the world often values appearance over character. He wasn't loud. He wasn't confrontational. He didn't retaliate in ways that could be seen or measured. Instead, he absorbed it all, day after day, telling himself maybe this was just how life worked. Perhaps proving people wrong wasn't worth the energy. Perhaps patience and endurance would be the true measure of his strength. And so, he kept moving forward quietly. This story isn't just about one man. It's about countless others made invisible by the color of their skin. It's about private battles fought behind calm faces, unseen but deeply felt. Racism doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it arrives in lowered expectations or sarcastic humor. Repeated often enough, it can break a person or forge resilience. And in his case, it created something powerful. He came from an ordinary background, unremarkable to the eye. No spotlight followed him. No special treatment eased his journey. He held dreams that stretched far beyond the space society allowed him. While others moved freely, he measured every step. He chose his words with care. He learned how to exist quietly but observe everything. He noticed patterns others ignored. Who laughed at what? Who stayed silent and why? How respect disappeared the moment his skin was mentioned. He recorded these small truths, absorbing lessons unnoticed. He prepared without fanfare. Always learning. Always waiting for an opportunity. What you're about to hear is how patience met opportunity, how endurance collided with a defining moment, and how those who mocked him were forced to confront something they never expected. This isn't a story of revenge. It is about dignity, resilience, and a single moment that changed everything. He didn't demand respect. He earned it quietly. And in that, the world had no choice but to notice. From the outside, his life appeared ordinary. He woke early, he dressed neatly, he carried hopes like everyone else. But shared spaces always reminded him of difference. Eyes lingered longer than necessary. Smiles disappeared faster than they appeared. Conversations paused as if his presence demanded caution. Mockery came in many forms. Loud jokes disguised as humor, quiet whispers behind his back. Quick laughter followed by, "Just kidding." Comments about skin color defined his intelligence, his limits, his potential. People spoke as if he couldn't hear. Or worse, as if it didn't matter whether he did. Yet every word stayed with him. He noticed how the world treated him differently. Identical ideas praised when spoken by others. His efforts questioned or ignored, mistakes remembered longer. Slowly, a pattern emerged. He realized he carried a burden unseen by most. Proving his worth became an unspoken requirement. And still he endured. At first, he tried to ignore it. He blamed sensitivity, convinced himself that hard work would change perception. But the comments persisted, the laughter continued. And each small moment accumulated like bricks in a wall pressing down. Some days it followed him home, heavy and persistent. Every insult became a reminder of injustice. Still, he did not respond with anger. He knew one reaction could be twisted against him. One raised voice could erase years of patience. So he stayed silent, but in that quiet formed resolve, a quiet resilience began to take shape. He learned strength could exist without confrontation. And in that knowledge he found control. The hardest battles were private. nights spent questioning self-worth, moments staring into the mirror, searching for confidence. Doubt threatened to weaken him. Yet he refused to be defined by others' assumptions. He remembered lessons about dignity, patience, and unannounced strength. Those memories guided him through pain. While others underestimated him, he prepared. Late nights, extra effort unseen. Attention to details ignored by others. Every insult became fuel. Every dismissal became motivation. Pain transformed into discipline. Discipline became quiet confidence, growing steadily. There were moments he could have spoken out, moments when injustice screamed for attention, but each time he chose patience. Not because silence was easier, but because timing mattered. Respect gained too early often fades. Respect earned in the right moment lasts forever, and he waited purposefully. The turning point arrived unexpectedly. A situation unfolded that demanded action, visible and undeniable. Attention turned to him. Suddenly, the room that overlooked him watched intently. Some doubted him, some were curious, a few retained old mockery, but none could ignore him. He stepped forward calmly, not arrogantly, not angrily. Everything endured, everything prepared led to this moment. Confidence replaced doubt. Skill replaced stereotype. One by one, assumptions shattered. He commanded attention quietly, undeniably. And the room changed around him. Those who had laughed before listened now. Those who underestimated him grew silent. Authority figures took notice. Their constructed image of him collapsed. And in that contradiction they faced their own bias. Realization replaced mockery. Silence became acknowledgement. Afterward, the room remained quiet. Not uncomfortable silence, but heavy awareness. No words were necessary. The truth was evident. Their perception had shifted. And nothing dramatic was required. Respect had been earned quietly. From that day, things changed. Not perfectly, not instantly, but undeniably. Mockers adjusted their behavior. Some avoided eye contact. Others offered subtle praise. A few apologized quietly. He accepted none of it with pride or resentment. Only with calm dignity. He had not changed who he was. Skin, voice, values remained intact. What changed was perception. And perception, once shifted, can be powerful. The problem had never been him. It had always been the lens through which others saw him. And that lens had finally adjusted. His story spread quietly, not as gossip but as lesson, a message larger than one person. Dignity requires no permission. Silence is not weakness. Resilience, paired with opportunity, dismantles prejudice. Those who mocked him had been forced to witness strength, and they could never unsee it. He never asked for approval, never demanded respect. By the time it came, he had learned to live without it. What mattered was remaining true to himself. Through doubt, insult, and oversight, dignity remained constant. He proved strength without a word, and that was enough. Racism does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides in laughter meant to belittle, in silence meant to exclude, in assumptions made without thought. Those carrying deepest wounds are often quietest, but silence does not equal weakness. Endurance does not equal acceptance. Strength does not always roar. Sometimes it grows quietly, preparing for moments when truth can no longer be ignored. Your value is never defined by others' opinions. Your worth does not depend on their approval. And patience, paired with resilience, creates power beyond recognition. If you've ever laughed or stayed silent while someone else suffered, reflect now. Words matter, actions matter, empathy can reshape perceptions. Silence can be reconsidered, judgment can be corrected. The smallest choices create ripples, and awareness can change lives. He was mocked for skin color, remembered for character. Respect is not earned through suffering. Humanity is not measured by appearance. Share these stories. Every retelling weakens ignorance. Every example strengthens understanding. And in telling, change begins. They mocked him until they saw his strength. Once seen, it could never be unseen. He never demanded respect. He never sought approval. By living true, he transcended bias. Through patience, resilience, and quiet dignity, he altered perceptions. And in doing so, he became unforgettable.